This is the Ballroom State of Mind podcast, episode 116, Feeling Like You Belong. Good day, my dear listeners. It's me, Amber Hayter, and I'm fresh off the Ohio Star Ball. I made all of my finals, if there was a semifinal into a final, and I got like second place, third, fourth, and third. And that one fourth place was like a Rule 10 fourth place, if you know what I mean, where third and fourth were so close that they had to like use a rule to decide who got third and who got fourth, and I got fourth in that. So to me, that's practically tied for third. So I'm feeling really good about the results. I felt pretty good about my dancing. I felt like my dancing is coming along. I'm dancing some newer stuff, and I'm dancing in the open level of Pro-Am rhythm, both A and B age categories. And I like how my dancing's coming along. It's getting better all the time. And it wasn't like my 100% best dancing, but I'm okay with that. And I felt like it was all appropriate. And I liked where I landed in my results, and I had fun. I also got a top student award. It was the top American style advanced female, something like that. So that was awesome. I was not expecting that. So that was cool. It was a great time. I love the Ohio Star Ball. I saw so many of you. I saw so many old friends, but this was the first competition in my, 3 years of podcasting that I had 10 or 12 of you maybe come up and say, hey, I listened to your podcast. Hey, I'm in your Joyful Ballroom group. Hey, thank you so much for what you do. And it meant so much to me. And I legit have the best followers. You guys are so sweet. You're so kind. You're so supportive. It was beautiful to watch you cheer on each other. And it was so beautiful to meet you and just experience your energies. It was awesome. That was probably my favorite part, honestly. Like I love dancing. I love competing. I love succeeding, but I value relationships so highly. So it really meant a lot when you came to tell me the impact that I've had on you. And it made my week to be able to meet you. So thank you for doing that. Some of you told me it's a little hard because you feel shy sometimes. So if you were brave enough to come up and talk to me, I'm very nice. I don't bite or anything. But if you came up and talked to me, thank you so much for that. All right, let's get into the podcast today. I want to talk about belonging, okay, and the idea of belonging. So I've heard many dancers in sessions say, well, I just want to feel like I belong. I want to look like I'm consistent or competitive with the other dancers at that level. And this usually comes at the end of a line of questioning around, why do we care about this? Like, why is this so important? Why are we so nervous? What are we worried about? What do we think is at stake here? So what if we feel embarrassed? What are we making that mean? And we go through this line of questioning. And at the end is frequently, I just want to feel like I belong. I don't even have to be the best. I just don't want to feel obviously out of place. Okay, so this is normal and it's really common, but I want to unpack this a little bit because I do think people can get stuck on this and this like waiting to feel like I belong and searching to see if I belong can be a little bit problematic. Because when we're searching for belonging, it's from a place of scarcity. It's from a place of, I'm not sure if I'm good enough. It's from a place of fear. It's a fear-based belief that I don't know if I belong or I don't think I belong. Okay. There's some insufficiency there and some scarcity there, some doubt. Clients describe this as a problem because they fear, what if I don't belong? What if I'm not good enough? And I'm out there performing and I look different from everybody else. And then I see my results and I get last place. And boy, I must have been terrible. And I thought I was okay. Now they all think I had no business being there with those other dancers. Why didn't anybody tell me I was so out of place? That would be so humiliating to be terrible and not even know it until it's too late. But reminder, questioning our belonging is a position of doubt. And while it's normal, and it's even probably a healthy part of being a human and a healthy part of the human experience, we want to be included. It's a contractive position. I'm not sure. It's not from sufficiency. It's not from abundance. It's not from I have everything that I need. And we're just not going to do our best dancing from that place. We're not going to have confidence from that place. It's going to chip away at our confidence. It's going to open the door to that fight or flight response. It is normal. It is even probably a healthy part of the human experience to feel this and to question your belonging. Okay. We do want to be included. We want to be valuable, and questioning our place is more likely to cause us to behave in ways that keep us in the tribe, which in the end is good. In the end, that's a good move as far as evolution is concerned. And it's why we strive to get along. It's why we strive to cooperate as well. But we as dancers in a performative environment, we want to make sure we frame it in a useful way and don't use it against ourselves or use it as a limiting belief in this pursuit. If I don't believe I belong, I'm going to look for evidence that this is true. And I'm going to limit myself. I'm going to hold myself back. And in the end, I'm going to probably lose motivation. I'm going to lose some self-confidence. It's going to chip away at that. And then I'll defeat myself ahead of time, or I'll just edit myself out, which is the same thing as a defeat. So let's talk about what belonging actually means. We're going to sort this out. And we're going to also figure out through that process why it's confusing or misunderstood. And then we're going to choose for ourselves how we want to frame it, and we're going to do it in a constructive way. So ask yourself, what does it even mean to belong? What is the definition for us? When we say, I want to feel like I belong, what do we even mean? One definition is to be a member of a group, a member of an organization or a class. So in this sense, I joined my studio. I dance with them. So I am a part of that organization. And so technically, I belong. It's very objective, this definition. Is that enough to determine belonging? Are we believing, yes, I'm a part of this group and so I belong and so I am allowed to dance here? And a lot of times this isn't what we're talking about, right? Or I'm registered with the NDCA. So that makes me a card-carrying member. So I belong. It's official. It's objective. But again, is that not what we mean? Because that's not enough. There's another usage of this word, which means to be rightly placed in a specified position. Oh, so maybe belonging means that it's right that I am here. I'm in the right place. Okay, and this is where it starts to get subjective. And this is why it starts to get confusing and elusive. Am I rightly placed? How would we know? Who would decide? And now we're entering into an opinion territory. Often when we're trying to determine if we belong, we look outside ourselves first. We look for clues, for evidence. We look to the people and the circumstances around us. In our dancing, we delegate this to our teachers. We're checking to see if our teachers approve of us. We delegate this to our coaches. Are they happy? Do they like what they see? Are they complimenting us? We look to the judges. What are our marks getting? Are the marks consistent? Are the judges kind of generally agreeing? Are they placing me well? We'll even put spectators and other dancers in this category. Like, are the spectators enjoying my performance? Are they watching me? What are the other dancers saying about my dancing? What do they recognize? And if my teacher says, I'm ready to perform or I'm ready to compete, does that mean that I belong in that group? Am I rightly placed? If my teacher thinks I'm ready to dance open, but one of my coaches says no, who is right? So this is part of the problem because nobody would totally agree. This is subjective. This is opinion. Everyone chooses for themselves what conditions would need to be met in order to determine if we belong. What I think it means to belong is different from what my resident expert thinks. A teacher might put students into a category that makes sense to them. But when we watch as a spectator or as another student, we might judge it and think, oh, they don't belong there. They shouldn't be there. They got moved up too soon, or they should be an open by now. They're crushing it too hard in silver or gold. And so we might have a differing opinion, but we're using a different measuring stick than the teacher might be using. When I ask my clients, what measuring stick are you using to determine if you belong? One thing they might say is, well, I just want to look like the other dancers out there. like I'm consistent with them and I'm not too far off. I go, oh, okay. So then let's ask, is belonging determined by relative sameness or consistency? So let's see. Let's like pull this thread. What if the group is less skilled than you are and you are a little more advanced? So you stand out. In this sense, we might determine that we don't belong. And to belong in that group, we would need to scale ourselves back, which we actually might not want to do. So in this case, standing out is okay. If we're killing it and we're like way better than the group, in that case, we might want to be standing out. It might be okay that we don't belong. We're okay with not belonging in that case because we look good, right? Interesting. But where we belong is probably with dancers that are more skilled than that particular group. But then our brain goes, well, not too skilled, right? Because they can't mostly be better than me so that I'm the odd man out. So this starts to get kind of muddy, right? When it comes to belonging, this is muddy water. Think about this. When we are beyond a level, for example, we might say, we don't really belong there. A coach or a teacher might say, she doesn't belong in bronze anymore. And the irony is that when you are at the top of a level and you're ready to move on, that's most likely when you probably feel the most comfortable in that level than you ever have in the past. So comfort might actually signal that you don't actually belong there anymore. Maybe moving up and stretching and like feeling you're in a growth phase is actually where you belong because that is where you're ready to be. What if belonging means you're ready for your next phase of growth? Not you're ready to be at the top of the next level, but belonging means you've been prepared in whatever level that you've been in for this next level of stretching. Okay. That's what leveling up feels like. What if belonging actually feels like garbage some of the time? For example, if I'm a silver dancer, there is a whole range that covers, right? There's a continuum. I might be a pre-silver or an early silver dancer, and I might spend years at silver and later be in the more advanced end of silver. When you are earlier in a level, you're going to be more aware of your inadequacies. And you're going to see the gap between where you are now and where you want to get to. This is a moment you might doubt that you belong. Every time I up level, it feels like I'm back to being kind of sucky and maybe I don't belong here. But what if that feeling means you actually do belong? So thus far, we've determined that belonging might not mean sameness or consistent with the others around us. It also might not mean comfort or experience, because as soon as you are too good for the level that you're in, you no longer belong in it. So this is why it's hard to define, and everyone kind of has their own sense of it. So if I push you a little further, you might say, well, I'll believe that I belong here and I have a right to be here when I'm at the advanced end of a level and I'm competitive and I place consistently in the top 3. And of course, I only mean at a big competition because I can't count it when it's at a small competition because there's just not enough people there to make that feel true to me. I'd have to be in the top 3 at a big competition to feel like I finally belong. Well, okay, now I just start to question, like, why are we so resistant to granting ourselves this belonging? Why are we so resistant to granting ourselves this acceptance? We're making it so difficult to achieve. I had a client who was feeling very strongly that she was ready for open smooth. She was ready for the next level. She had thought about this for a long time. She had advocated for it for herself many times. And the person in charge of that determination just didn't agree and was holding her back in the eyes of my client. She felt very held back. It felt very unjustified. On the one hand, my client thought she didn't belong in gold anymore. So notice, comfortable, bored, ready means I don't belong here. I belong in open. So then the client finally has a competition where she gets results that the coach decides, okay, that's evidence enough, I guess. So now it's time to start open. I grant you the ability to start dancing in open. So now my client has a short amount of time, she's telling me, to learn some open figures that she's going to add on to her closed choreography for an upcoming competition. So in our session, we're exploring how now she's working on open, right? Where she was feeling like she really belonged. And this coach has said, okay, you belong here now. And she's going to do open at the next competition. And this client was expressing all kinds of doubts about if she belonged in open now. So now we're stretching, we're growing, we're doing some things that are a little bit beyond us, and we're feeling our inadequacies come up, and that, thoughts and doubts about maybe I don't belong here. So then we're making it mean that if I'm bumbling through and I'm making mistakes and I'm not feeling strong and I'm feeling insecure, that maybe I don't belong. So in either case, she didn't feel like she belonged. So it seems like feeling like we belong doesn't come from the circumstances. I'm going to say that again. Feeling like you belong won't come from the circumstances. Do you know why you want to feel like you belong? Everything that we do is because of a feeling that we want to feel. It's a feeling that we believe that we will experience in the having of that thing. If you felt like you belonged, if you achieved that, what would be different for you? Because that's what you're chasing. What would change? How would you show up differently because you felt like you belonged? Let's guess. If I believed I belonged here, I would stop looking around at all the people outside of me for approval. I'd take more risks, and I'd feel free from the expectations of other people. I could unburden my mind with thoughts of other people and what they think and what they want and if they're going to approve. And all that self-consciousness would finally be gone, and I would just be free to express and be in my body and just experience the dancing while I'm dancing. If I felt like I belonged, I would be more assertive, and I would take up more space in the world, and I would take up more space on the floor, and I would not feel afraid to be seen. Well, that is what you want. Let's not wait to do that. Let's not wait until some future time to give ourselves that. Let's just be brave and try all of that. Let's drink some courage Kool-Aid and bust out of this cage that you've put yourself in. I don't think belonging is a feeling that you can earn. I think it's a belief, which is just a thought at the end of the day. I think it's a decision. For me, I've decided that if I'm drawn to it and I feel the most like me being me, and I love it there, then I belong there. I don't even have to be excellent at it. I don't even have to look like the other people doing it. I belong here because I want to be here and I want to be doing this. That's all the permission slip I need. There is another definition of belonging that is an affinity for a place or situation. Do you have an affinity for dancing? You just want to be there. You just want to be around it. You just want to be doing it. You can't explain it. Then you belong. If you are here, then you belong. This is a circumstance. This is a feeling. This is a belief. This is something you grant yourself. You bestow it to yourself. Whether you belong or not is up to you. You get to decide. You get to decide what the word means. You get to decide what the conditions will be that you're finally going to decide and give it to yourself. So how will you define belonging? When will you decide that you do actually belong? Don't wait. The time is now. I love you guys. I'll catch you next time.